Yeah. All right. I know, right? Okay. We'll get started in here in a minute, guys. We're live. We got microphone up. I got YouTube chat. I got Cliff Notes. Stuff to do. We'll try and keep this PG family friendly in case any of the kids' class are watching.
All right.
So
I'll keep my swearing to a minimum.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to do a belt up.
You had it done last time.
That's close enough to correct.
So technically we don't start for another 2 minutes. So
Technically, I'm going to do
I'll let
where?
Yeah, I'll let Kalen go and do his thing for a minute. If you guys are in the chat, pop in and say hi. There's a couple people watching by the looks of it, but I honestly can't tell. We'll get going here in a minute. Technically, we're still like 2 minutes early. So we might have some kids coming in from the kids class to watch, guys. So if you're here, how's it going? We're going to go over a lot of closed guard stuff today. It's mostly just going to be fairly basic, and then we're going to kind of add on a couple more advanced things as well for any of the higher belts potentially watching. So for anyone who kind of, that I know that doesn't train with me, actually puts a little higher up here. Closed guard is a position that I've been using as an A-game position for like 6 years now. So it's a position I'm very familiar with, very intimate with. So it's a position that I feel comfortable covering for however long we go and cover stuff today. So if you guys got any questions, go ahead and ask. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. I'm just waiting on.
I'm ready whenever.
All right, so we'll get going. Guys, if you have any questions throughout, make sure to drop them by. I'm reading the chat as we go. We'll kind of chop this up afterwards, and we'll kind of upload some videos of this. So first couple things I just want to talk about. There's just going to be a couple super basics, all right? So let me introduce Kalen here.
I guess I need to kneel, huh?
He's my uke for the day, my dummy. He's the brother that I always talk about. So we're going to just start kind of in closed guard, guys. And we'll mess around with the camera angle and stuff, so back up a little bit. We'll have to kind of get the camera angle correct. But anyways, so we're in closed guard here, all right? So the big thing with closed guard is I always need to be controlling his posture either away from me or towards me, right? So something a lot of people, especially when they're newer at the position, don't do is they don't use their legs. So they'll be here, they'll grab their collar and sleeve, and they'll just pull, and they'll pull. And that doesn't do much, right? Like, I'm 30 pounds heavier than Kalen, and I can barely pull him down. But once I start utilizing my legs into this as well, I can break him down by just crunching my legs into my chest. We can be here, and I can start to break him down using both my arms and my legs. So that's like the first major concept that I want everyone to think about while we're training today, right? So the second one is the concept of I either need to be pushing him away or pulling him forward. I should never be just stuck, right? Like I should never just be in closed guard here and just like content where he is right here, right? If he's all the way up, like sit down on your knees a little bit, right? Like if he's all the way up here, okay, I either need to be pulling him in towards me or I need to be starting to sit up to go either through our hip bump sweeps, okay, our triangles, whatever, or I need to be pulling him in here, all right? Just relax a little bit. I need to be pulling him in here to go our chokes, our arm drags, whatever we're doing. I need to be one or the other, okay? So that's kind of our two main concepts. Of the opponent pushing forward when stuffing hip bump sweeps and some triangle setup. Sure. Thanks, Jason. All right. So Jason's question, this is actually a really common one, and it's something that comes up a lot in our white belt classes whenever I'm teaching closed guard. So his question was, how do you prevent people like pushing back into you and deal with that when you go for hip bumps? So, let's say I'm here and I go to my hip bump sweep. Okay, and the first thing Kalen does, obviously, is he tries to push back into me here. All right, if I just stay content with being pushed back down, I have to be ready to do something, right? So a lot of the time, I'll actually go for the hip bump sweep just to force this reaction. This is actually what I was going to get into, is if I'm up here for the hip bump sweep, okay, if you want to push someone away, pull them in. If you want to pull someone in, push them away. Right? So I'm here. Now his natural reaction to avoid being swept is to push me back in. And I can start to take the back. All I did was an arm drag there. Right? So I'm never just here pushing, and he pushes back in and back to close guard. That can happen sometimes, and that's okay if it does. But if I go to hip bump sweep, really easy one. Stop for a second. Really easy one. I just grab the elbow here. I don't grab the tricep. I grab the elbow, kind of cupping it. And then as I hip down, I create space, shove this through, and come out the back. Here, hip switch. Right up and start to take the back. So that's kind of the main one there. First, someone tries to stuff the hip bump sweeps, or any kind of like sit-up sweeps, is you just take their back. The other option, obviously, is here, right? I go sit-up sweep, or hip bump sweep, or whatever I want. And he starts to pressure back in, okay? I can go back to my elbow here if I want, and I can just go to feet on hips guard. Here, use that space that I created to start working my feet on hips guard. So that's our other option, is being in here, going from this grip here down to the collar, shrimping away, butt scooting away, whatever, and getting my collar sleeve grip. So that's kind of our second option from there. So this other question was triangle attacks. So we'll go over my main favorite one. So if I can just get you to take your glasses off there. So we're in close guard. Okay, I'll have to play around with the camera angle to get you guys to see this properly. But let's say I've already broken him down. Okay, we're chest to chest. Okay, I'm going to reach around over to his shoulder, over by his lat over here. I'm going to either grab material, or if it's no-gi, I'm going to grab the lat itself. That's entirely up to you. Now I'm going to start to push his arm out here. Most people are thinking omoplata, kimura from here. So I'm kind of using that. As long as I don't reach over, they're not really going to be defending the kimura all that much. Okay, so I open my guard and I do a little shrimp here. Okay, so I'm more facing into him now than straight up and down. Now all I'm going to do, depending on your flexibility, you can either bring this leg up or keep it here. I'm going to go foot to bicep, kind of like a spider guard. Now I'm going to push his head down with my arm and shoot my triangle, okay? So that's our other one, is we're here, right? One thing, he's probably going to be trying to pressure in with this arm here, not let me expose it. So I can just kind of come inside here, pretend I'm getting a collar grip for a second, and switch, okay? Shrimp here. One big detail a lot of people miss with this triangle is they don't push the head down at all. So, if I just try this here, Kalen can posture up very easily. I don't really have much control. This can be great to go for like omoplatas on the other side, things like that, if you want to bait it. But it's not that great for the actual triangle. So we get to here. I'm just going to kind of push his head down into my chest. Reach and grab, okay? Now, lock my triangle. If you're a little less flexible or you're rolling with someone a little bigger, kind of lock it just at your legs for a moment. Hip up, over, and then it's all the triangle basics from there, right? So that's pretty much, I would say, the main triangle I do from closed guard. I don't really do like the basic, just like hand push one or any others like that, or the one from the hip bump sweep. I prefer that short control there for my triangles. So if anyone has any other questions, we'll move kind of on from that and kind of work off of it a little bit. So kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about here was scissor sweeps. I meant to do a scissor sweep video like a year ago, and I never ended up doing it. So we'll kind of go over it here because one of the big concepts I have personally for jiu-jitsu is the things I do should work on any body type, right? It's one of the reasons why I compete like up a weight class a decent bit. I mean, it's that and just not wanting to cut weight. So here we go. So if we're in closed guard, okay, one of my favorite sweeps is the scissor sweep. So there's a couple kind of key details to this that make it go from like your typical white belt sweep that, you know, blue belts laugh at you for trying, and take it to, oh, you can threaten like purple, brown, black belts with this now. So a couple key things, right, is one of my key concepts. Actually, we'll turn around here first because this is kind of a key concept for a couple things we're going to talk about today. Come closer to the camera here. So we're here. All right. Come down. So watch. One of the things that I teach the kids all the time, and this is a good tip for any of you kids coaches out there, is if you're trying to teach kids something that's non-tangible, and what I mean by that is teaching a kid a cross-collar choke is easy. You tell them, go as deep as you possibly can in the collar, and that's pretty easy for them to understand, right? Teaching a kid something where maybe you don't want to go super deep is a little more difficult, right? Because you say, oh, grab deep, but not super deep. That's really hard to explain to a kid properly. So what I've started doing relatively recently is I take the knuckles on my fingers and I take the collarbone on the person I'm demonstrating on, sometimes even the kids. And I say, look, okay, for this technique, I want my ring finger knuckle touching my partner's collarbone, and you can feel it. And that gives them something tangible to work with. And a lot of kids, right, they're very tangible learners. So if you just tell them something theoretical, they won't get it. But if you actually like tangibly give them something to do, they'll be able to pick it up very quickly. So, you know, oh, you want your ring finger here, or you want your middle finger on his collarbone, right? Or your index. You know, like for Luke chokes, I like to go middle or index on the collar or on his collarbone, right? So a little bit of a tangent there, but it comes into play a little later. I just wanted to get that out of the way. So anyways, for scissor sweeps. So we're in closed guard here. Okay. So a couple big things, right? Obviously, collar grip. You don't actually want this as deep as you possibly can get. That's why I just went over that. I want about my, depending on the person, generally about the ring finger knuckle touching the collarbone. That's a good grip for this. It gives you a lot of force. Regular sleeve grip. Now, when I want to go to shrimp, there's something a lot of people do that instantly kills this sweep before you've even tried it, and that is this. Your feet touching the floor before you even shrimp, or as you're going to shrimp. This just killed the sweep for you right now, because now all Kalen has to do is stand up. He has no pressure on his hips. I can try and pull him down as much as I want, right? But I'm going to be forced into an open guard now, okay? So watch, right? He can still come up, but his hips are a lot more pinned. It's a lot harder and slower for him to do that, okay? So open, pinch your knees, and shrimp, okay? Now my next one, before my leg comes inside onto his chest like this, I come up to my elbow because I get that pull first with his sleeve, okay? Now I bring my knee to the inside. These like little steps that take this sweep from a good sweep to a great sweep. So now we're here, okay? Now, I drop my foot to the floor. So when I'm going to go to sweep him, okay, over to the side, I don't just want to try and yank him over. It's never going to work, okay? I showed a couple people this. I do like a little hop where I take my hips and I hop over, creating a slightly separate angle. So generally we're here. Actually, back up just a little bit. Yeah. So generally we're here, okay? I just hop out like this, and I keep this pressure. And this is all happening like that, right? You're not going to be able to just slowly set this technique up. So it's all going to happen quick. Now, I keep my knee engaged, but I disconnect my foot, and then when I'm ready to sweep, I kick like that. So we're here. Now I can sweep. All of that creates a lot of momentum, a lot of force pushing him, right? And then I can come right up. The other thing a lot of people don't do is they let go of this grip, just cross it over his chest, right? You're basically gift wrapping him, and now he can't really move. You got an arm bar here, and this is a super strong grip to just be able to pin someone's wrist to the mat like that. Let's come back up. So we're in here, like that, right? Not like this, like that. It's a huge difference. Elbow, knee, hop. Now I'm kind of, my calf on his knee and my knee on his rib cage and his solar plexus stay connected. It's my lower calf and my ankle and my lower shin and my instep.
If you move my arm a bit, you can
they come
really see where the knee goes
disconnected right here. Okay. Now I pull in to get their weight off of their legs and scissor my legs. And it's the most effortless sweep, right? There's, plenty of videos of me doing this in competition, in absolute divisions, whatever. So it's one of those sweeps where it works pretty much no matter the weight if you can off balance the person and time this properly, which is my big philosophy in jiu-jitsu is, if you have a technique, obviously this isn't a blanket statement, but in general, I want my techniques to work no matter the body size, right? Something that is really important to remember is these kinds of guards, right? Like these closed guards. And there's a couple other like open guards like that, like sit up. So I consider like X guard to be in this same category. This closed guard, what I'm about to talk about, like X, okay? Single leg X is also in this category. These are all guards to slow the person down, okay? So what I mean by that is, a lot of small guys are super, super fast. I consider myself like pretty fast, but I'm also 180 pounds, 185 pounds. Guy, Kalen size, 150 or smaller, is too fast for me. So I go close guard, X guard, single leg X guard, guards like that. Deep De La Riva is another one where I can nullify the person's speed because I have a solid connection with multiple points. Okay, stand it back up. Just to reiterate this, right? Like this, like a feet on hips guard might not be as great. Someone fast can just kind of be pushing my legs off. Okay, like a regular De La Riva guard can be half decent if you have collar control and leg control. Okay, but generally close guard, X guard, single leg X, and deep De La Riva. Whereas if I'm rolling with a super, super big guy, I don't want those guards. Maybe X, but like close guard is not going to be as effective if you can't even close your feet around the person, right? Like I've had competition matches where, I go to close my guard on the person and it's my toes, right? At that point, they're probably a little too big for close guard. So as much as I say I want my techniques to work on every body type, there are physical limitations to some of these guards that we have to keep in mind when we're practicing them, right? Like, I've seen people, like, I'll teach a closed guard sweep, and someone will come back to me like a week later and be like, Pat, I was trying this sweep and it really wasn't working. And I was like, well, who are you trying it on? And they'll say they were trying it on this like 250-pound person and they're like 5'8", right? Yeah, closed guard's not going to work that great with that big of a disparity. But as long as it's within reason, you're going to be totally fine. So we've gone over a good chunk. There was a couple more techniques I wanted to go through here. So I went through over the scissor sweep, bicep push triangle. So the next one we'll go over is pendulum. Oh. For when holding someone in guard. That's a really great question, Jason. So what grips do I prefer when I'm holding someone in guard? So we'll talk about this in closed guard, and we'll talk about this in like a feet on hips guard as well situation. So what grips do I grab first? So let's just say here, right? Easiest example of this is I pull closed guard and the person breaks my grips right away, right? I have no grips now. So now I have to decide what I'm getting first. Collar is first, always. I can't control posture with the sleeve. I can control posture with the collar. Okay, the only caveat to this is if I want to do more of an open guard, I'll grab the sleeves. I'll go double sleeves, feet on hips. Okay, because double sleeve, feet on hips, I can go lasso. Okay, I can go lasso omoplata if I want here. There's a bunch of stuff I can do from double sleeves, especially against someone bigger. Okay, where I'm going to be a lot faster than them. But as a general rule, your collar grip, this way, your collar grip comes first as a general rule, followed by the sleeve, okay? Or in my case, a lot recently, actually followed by the lapel, because I've been playing a lot of like lapel lasso. So I'll go collar to break the posture, get the lapel out, shrimp, and go lapel lasso to start working lapel guard. But yeah, as a general rule, 1, 2 in that order. Obviously, if we're in this kind of position here where I'm just playing like a laying down open guard and his collar is too far away for me to reach, he's doing a good job of just like swatting my hand away every time I go to reach up, then I'll go sleeve first because it's going to be close. I might even go double, like 2-on-1 sleeve just to start getting into my guards a little easier. But yeah, collar first, sleeve second, and then depending on what kind of open guards you play, lapel as well, if you play lapel guards, which I've been messing around with a lot. So next, we're going to get into one of my favorite sweep setups in a minute here. Here, attacking a larger opponent. See, Manny, I know you're just saying that so that you don't get caught next time, but it's a good question. All right. So favorite attack on a larger opponent, in general, is anything where I can nullify their weight, which is a huge broad spectrum of techniques. Scissor sweep actually falls into that category. Funnily enough, it's one of my most successful closed guard sweeps against big people is just a scissor sweep. It works really, really well. It's like actual submissions. Yeah, from closed guard. So like actual submissions from closed guard against bigger people, loop choke is actually a really big one because in general, and obviously this isn't totally true with everybody, but in general, big guys are going to be like trying to smash past you and just pressure in, right? So, I take your glasses off. So let's assume, Kalen's like 250, 260 pounds plus, okay? And he's just trying to like pressure in. He's just trying to grind into me with his face here, all right? It's pretty easy to grab a loose collar from there. And if I get this underneath his neck, that's all I need. Because now all I do is I just kind of collar drag it as I shift my hips this way, okay? Turn a little bit. So I collar drag it as I shift my hips this way. Now all I do is I just cup his head. Now I can open my guard. Shrimp. Come over to kind of grab my own elbow for a second before I just go from here. right in, right? So I'm doing like this here. Now I go feet on hips, especially against bigger guys, because you have a lot of real estate. And I can kind of shrimp away and sit up here. Now, the great thing about the loop choke against bigger guys is if you get it locked in, even if they're strong enough to just like try and posture up from this position, they're just putting themselves into the choke, right? If I have this locked in, the only thing you can really do to defend this is to roll through the choke. So like roll this way.
Which one?
This way. Yeah. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
see when I remember how to do that.
Literally just like dive, right? He has to try and dive that way. Okay? But he gives me a top position. This is why I love the loop choke so much, is because if you lock a loop choke on the person, no matter the size, you either submit them or you gain top position. One of the two. Obviously, the only caveat to that is if their neck and shoulders are so big that you just can't get around, it's a little different. But I generally don't run into that issue much. And even threatening the loop choke just as an attack forces people to kind of back off. Yeah, the shrimp out is something that a lot of people don't do, and they end up really stifling the choke because of that. Right? So, and it's something I did like early last year. I started working loop chokes a lot, and I spent like 3 or 4 months straight on these. So, like, I get here, right? And I always just try and like sit up, but his body is sandwiched to me right now. I can't sit up here. But I know that if I have a collar drag and I like have, let's say, my hand on his shoulder, I can shrimp out faster than he can come back in. So I can just shrimp here. Okay? Now we're here. Now we're good. Because now I just grab this. I can kind of push and sit up. And like I said, now we're here. I just tighten this grip up and I push on his head to tap him out. Worst case, if I don't feel like this choke is working, I also have back mount now. Come in this way a little bit, like towards the couch over there.
Blue or
Push
green?
this way. Blue.
Okay.
Just gonna want to show the back take. Right? Like I get to this position, I'm trying, I can't finish the choke. Grab the collar. Take back mount. Right? I'm right here. So I'm right there. So again, from that position, I'm either taking the back, tapping the person out, or taking top position if they roll. If they're super sneaky, they might get like a shallow half guard when they roll, but I can cut past that easily with that grip. You just go up and cut past. Super easy. Something I do all the time. So I think we had one more technique on my list. If anyone has any other questions, now's the time. We're not going to go for too much longer here. So we'll do pendulums. Okay. So we're just going to move the mats back into place really quick. These are not like taped down or anything. All right. So last technique we're going over that was on my list is the armbar to pendulum sweep that I think is a really underrated combo by a lot of people. So we're just going to get into close guard here. Okay. So now, let's say I go for the armbar. All right.
I'm going to put this a little further away.
Yeah, that's all right.
Put it under the chair.
Yeah. So I go for the armbar. So close guard armbar is really hard to pull off to just get the armbar on good guys, because the second I go here, they start to pull their arm out. And even if they just get their elbow a tiny bit out, it's really hard to finish from this position. Okay. So that's why you always take advantage of the free arm here. So we're in this armbar and I can't finish it. He's pulling his arm out. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to start to pendulum back around into close guard at the same time as I arm drag this top arm. I let go and I go elbow, sleeve. So now when I start to pendulum, I push. Okay? Posture first thing. So I've pushed this across now. Grab the back, and then it's just basic pendulum sweep. Underhook the leg, load him up, sweep him over. Okay? So again, people a lot of the time get too focused on attacking the arm that they started to attack, right? So, I really want to get this arm, so I'm just gonna try and get back through. That doesn't work a lot, right? Especially against strong people. Like, this is so hard to get. You're in such a disadvantaged position for pulling. So instead, I just grab the sleeve here because, anyone who's been training for more than a month, what's the number one defense someone's going to have to an armbar? They're going to grab a rear naked choke grip. They're going to grab here, and they're going to grab your own shin, your own thigh. Okay? This is like day one armbar defense. So I know that. So I can just get here, this grip. Now I start to pendulum. I kick up and around, and I arm drag. Now I'm in this position here with the arm dragged, right? This was no extra effort on my part. He was pushing this way, so I went with him. No extra effort, and now he just arm dragged himself. And I've got a super solid connection. Immediately grab around, just like when we were doing the triangle. Grab the lat. Shrimp to grab underneath the leg. Pendulum up. And over. So I want you guys to think about that. The next time, whenever we're all actually able to go back to our gyms and, roll is, am I taking advantage of what he's giving me, right? Like something I did for so long is just, I had a technique in mind that I wanted to do, and I was trying not to let anything stop me from that technique. So if I wanted to armbar the person, well, I was going to get an armbar, but he knows it's coming. So instead, I want to armbar the person. So instead, I arm dragged him because he defended the armbar well. It's kind of like that misdirection. Very important from closed guard, very important in a lot of jiu-jitsu, is just that misdirection. You mask the technique. Well, the best example I have kind of ever found for this is, if you want to punch someone in the face, look at their chest. If you want to punch someone in the chest, look at their face, right? Because you track the eyes. So it's kind of different, but it's the same concept where, I want to armbar somebody, so I choke them, or I try and sweep them. I want to sweep somebody, so I try and armbar them, or I try and choke them. It's the same concept, but just modified for jiu-jitsu. You mask your techniques. You chain your techniques. So I think there was one more closed guard technique. If anyone has any last technique questions, now is your time to shoot. I'll give you guys a second to tape them. While we're waiting, actually, there is one more, it's a little concept, but it's super important. Come back to close guard. So, just the side-on view is fine. So, we're here, right? So, here is, again, like we're talking about, especially for any of the white belts that are watching, or people newer with closed guard. If you're in closed guard and your hips are on the mat, you're doing closed guard wrong, okay? If I'm trying to pull Kalen in with my hips on the mat and not on his lap, try and resist, right? I can't. Even if I grab here, it's really hard. I have no power from my hips. But if I just kind of come up here, now my hips, my core is engaged, my hips are on his hips. Try and raise as hard as you can. I can start to break him down a lot easier, okay? Because my hips are engaged here, okay? A lot of people use closed guard as just like a rest position where they just want to hang out and relax. But closed guard, your closed guard should feel like the person on top should feel like they are in danger of dying at any second when you're in closed guard, right? Like they should fear death when you are in closed guard. If they don't fear death, you're not aggressive enough in your closed guard. You're waiting too much. It is a good position to rest if you get good control, like an over the back grip, and you can just kind of chill for a second if you're gassed. But for the most part, make them fear death when you're in closed guard. Don't let the person just rest, because it's rest for them too, right? Like something you have to think about is every second you get to rest, they get to rest too. If they're not in a bad position, it's different if you're in like mount or side control or back mount. That's different. But in any kind of guard or any kind of like non-dominant position, you are letting them rest just as much as you are resting. And unless you are way more confident in your cardio, that's not a good thing, right? So that's just a little like strategy tip that I've picked up over the years from doing, competing and all that. So if we have nothing else, I think we'll wrap it up, guys. Went over most of the techniques I wanted to today. There's actually one more thing. Super, super simple and blows people's minds when I show them this. Like, it legitimately, it sounds like Aikido stupid stuff, but it's not. I promise you. I've done this to a bunch of people. So we're going to talk about pressure points for a second, and I don't mean this in any like mystic way. I mean it just in like an actual, the way your body mechanics work kind of way, okay? So we're in closed guard, and Kaelan's just, hands on my belt, trying to keep me away, just stiff arming me, all right? Let's say I can't break him down here. He's too strong. I'm going to take my middle fingers. I'm going to grab inside of his elbow, and if you can do this on yourself, there's a little bit of bone that sticks out around here. It's a little like shelf around your elbow, okay? And if you just kind of pinch in on that and pull his elbows wide, watch. Try and be as stiff as you can. Do not let me, right? It doesn't matter. And if you get like right in there on some people, you'll just like, it's hard to find on some people, but you'll literally just break them right down. I found the skinnier someone is, the easier that is to do. The leaner someone is, the easier that is to do. It's kind of greasy. Like, it's not fun for the other person. It kind of feels like your funny bones being tickled, but it works well. That's kind of my go-to if people don't, if people are just trying to stiff arm and not let me break their posture, and they're just kind of stalling. All right, if we don't have any more questions, guys, I think we will wrap this up. I would say I'm going to go eat dinner, but I'm in the middle of a 24-hour fast, so just for funsies. So just drink water. But I know Kaelan wants to get back to stuff. I want to get showering. So if we don't get anything else, guys, we'll give you guys like a quick minute just to post, and then we'll get going. Hope everyone had a good time today. I know, a lot of people are in my position where we trained every day before the pandemic, and now can't train. So, I've been getting my girlfriend to help me out from time to time, getting Kaelan to help me out, doing solo drills, but nothing really scratches that itch of a good, hard training session. So hopefully if everyone does the right thing, everyone tries to stay as isolated as possible, we can get this under control as quickly as possible and be back out on the mats. I do know there is a couple like healthcare professionals, healthcare workers on my Facebook that might be watching this that do jiu-jitsu. Or, for anyone who has like healthcare professionals in their family, like, thank you so much for doing the work you're doing. Like, I can't say that enough. You guys are literally, you always save lives, but you are literally saving lives right now, doing the hard work you guys are doing. And I think it's going very unappreciated. Same thing, to a lesser extent with, grocery store clerks, people who are stocking the shelves, gas station attendants, everyone who's keeping everything running and, the economy going at least a tiny bit, civilization from going to complete shit. Thank you so much. If you do jiu-jitsu and you're a healthcare professional or your grocery store attendant, hopefully I provided like a short reprieve from the shit that's going on right now. Thanks guys. And hopefully do one of these again pretty soon. Take it easy.